Johnny comes home, but the problem is his wife faces him and says, "Johnny, I know what you've done." Confused, Johnny asked her, "What have I done? I have no idea." His wife, which is now furious, says, "You've cheated on me with Susie. Do you think I'm dumb? She told me everything." Johnny freezes. He takes a deep breath and says, "My love, it was just a one-time thing. It didn't mean anything, I swear." His wife thinks for a while and says, "Okay then, I have a challenge for you. If you really love me, describe me." Johnny doesn't know what to say, and his wife asks him again, "Johnny, come on, how would you describe me?" Johnny thinks for a while and then says, "Well, I'd say you're A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K." Confused, the wife asks, "Johnny, I'm serious. What does that even mean?" Johnny replies, "It means that you're adorable, beautiful, cute, delightful, elegant, fashionable, gorgeous, and hot." The wife says, "Oh, thank you. I'm one step closer to forgiving you. But what about the letters I, J, and K? What do they mean?" Johnny smiles and says, "I'm just kidding." Little Johnny was told by his friends that all adults have a deep, dark secret and can be easily manipulated. So little Johnny decided to test it. He comes home, goes up to his mother and says, "Mom, I know everything." Little Johnny's mom is shocked. She shushes him, gives him $10 and says, "Just don't tell your dad." Little Johnny thinks for himself, "Hey, it's working." And an hour later, little Johnny's father comes home from work. Little Johnny goes up to him and says, "Dad, I know everything." Shocked, little Johnny's dad shushes him, gives him $100 and says, "Son, don't tell your mom anything." The next day in school, he went up to his teacher and said, "Ma'am, I know everything." The teacher quickly shushes him, gives him an A and says, "Johnny, I'll always give you A's as long as you don't tell anyone." Little Johnny is so excited that he decides to try it on more people. And after arriving home, he hears the mailman knock on the door. Little Johnny rushes to open it and says, "Sir, I know everything." The mailman looks completely shocked. He drops all his mail, picks little Johnny up, and says, "I missed you so much, son." Little Johnny's parents wanted to have some alone time together, so they sent little Johnny out onto the porch with an ice cream sandwich. Not wanting the boy to finish eating too quickly, his mother came up with an idea to keep him distracted. She approached little Johnny and said, "Johnny, while you're eating, watch the neighborhood and tell us everything interesting that you see." A few minutes into their lovemaking, Johnny's parents heard him yell, "Mom, Dad, the Hendersons got a new car." His mother takes a deep breath and says, "Good job, honey. Keep on looking." A couple minutes later, Johnny shouted again, "Mom! Dad! The Smiths are planting flowers!" His father replies, "Good job, son. Keep looking." Another minute went by and Johnny called out, "Mom! Dad! Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are having sex!" Shocked, little Johnny's parents abruptly stopped in their own activity. After a moment of silence, Johnny screams again, "Mom! Dad! Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are having sex!" His mother dresses up, approaches little Johnny and asks, "Johnny, how do you know that they're having sex?" "Because their son is eating an ice cream sandwich on their porch." An old sailor is getting divorced, but the problem is, the only family he has left is two blondes. So he goes to them and says, "I want to be buried at sea." The blondes are a little shocked at first, but eventually they agree. A few years later, the sailor passed away and the two blondes load his body into a rowboat and start sailing. After they had gone deeper into the ocean, the blondes stop rowing and check the depth. So she gets out of the rowboat and says, "The water doesn't even reach my knees. We need to go further." So she gets back on the boat and keeps sailing. After 30 minutes, the blondes again stop and check the depth again. This time the water reaches her neck and she says, "It's not deep enough. We need to go even further." So they go out some more, and after stopping again, the blonde checks the depth. However, this time she goes totally under and is out of sight for several seconds. Worried, the other blonde goes looking for the first blonde, but she can't find her. After about 2 minutes, the first blonde comes back out of nowhere and says, "This is deep enough. Hand me the shovel."